Hey, kia ora. Helen Browns here, coming live from Sun City in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic, sparkling, restful relaxation day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1172. I just wanted to say hi and welcome. And how has your day been? We had major storms coming through last night, as we were talking about last night on our podcast. In the middle of a storm, we had it pouring down on top. I haven't gone back to check the audio to see how clear it came through, whether you could hear the rain pounding on the roof and the thunder rumbling and all that stuff. So today was dry out day. I had the weather was coming from the east, and when it comes from the east, my window at the other end of the pop out, because I live in an RV for those that don't know, and I'm in the slide out area because this is my dining table, and I have a window behind me, and at the far end 16 feet away is another window, and that one is very interesting because it's not the window that gets wet. The blind doesn't get wet. It is the what do you call this thing? The valance across the top that gets wet and drips, and the valance has a point in it, and it gathers the water only in the east. Only when the winds come, when the weather's coming from the east does this happen, and it comes in somewhere up there. We're not sure where, can't find it, and that whole valance piece gets wet and it drips down onto the couch and onto the wall. So I have this big sheet of plastic that I've folded up, and I've pushed it up against the wall, made it nice and tight. I've got it so it funnels down into a basin, into a plastic basin, and because not only does the valance get wet, but if you're looking at the window, the piece that comes down from the valance on the right hand side also gets wet and drips into the basin as well. So I thought, but got up this morning and discovered something new. Not only had the valance leaked and the right hand side, it had finally gotten to the left-hand side piece that comes down as well. So now both my pieces that come down, and if they get wet enough, they drip into the basin. Well, they drip onto the plastic, which runs into the basin. And then I discovered that the window now has a leak. This is all the same window. It's the only place inside the RV that got wet last night. Usually it's in the shower. That's all the other times. But if it comes from the east, it's that particular window. And there was water somehow dripping down. I'm not exactly sure where it came from, but it was sitting all in the ledge of the window on the inside. The window was dry. The screen was dry. I don't know where the water came from. The blinds were dry. It's the weirdest thing. But in the bottom, it was dripping. And it had somehow got behind the plastic because the plastic's tucked up under it. Somehow got behind the plastic. It was just running down the wall. And I'm like... So it was dry out day today. So we got all that taken care of. The cool part was we only got up to 78 today. And so this morning we started off with the windows open, the sunlight coming in, which we haven't done for a while, which we haven't been able to do for a while because of the heat. And so it was really nice to get the fresh air going. I even went into the bedroom and opened up windows in there. And I have a towel that sits on the shelf of the window next to my side of the bed. It's kind of like a bedside table. So I have a towel there, and that was feeling pretty damp. And when I looked at my little alarm clock that sits there, it has a humidity thing, and it says 81%. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right. So I'm like feeling the towel, that feels damp, but I've got no idea where the water came from. None whatsoever. It's coming from the east. This is my east wall here. I have no idea why that was damp. I've got no idea where the rain was coming in or anything else, because if it's coming from the east, it completely misses that. Because that's my pop out on the west side of the vehicle. So, and it's the only place that got wet was by that window. Everything else, bone dry. Although there is dampness coming up somewhere, because there's when you're walking up and down the RV after a big rainstorm like we had yesterday, you can feel the dampness coming up through the carpet. The roofs are fine, the walls are fine. It's coming up through the underside somehow. So I'm going to have to figure that one out too. That's going to be fun. But it just felt slightly damp, and I wasn't sure if it was because of the dampness in the air or if we actually do have water somehow coming in somewhere, and it's getting the carpet wet. But, if I've got stuff down on the floor, it's all bone dry, and I'm like, this is the weirdest thing ever. But anyway, we got everything dried out today. We had windows open, we had blinds open, we had sunlight streaming in. We finally ended up having to put the AC on about midday or somewhere around there, because it finally got hot enough inside. Even though it was like 70 something outside, it was heating up the inside because we had all the windows open, we had the sun coming in, so it was gently heating up everything inside. But I bumped the temperature up on the thermostat so it wasn't cooling us down enough and we could still have the windows open. Then I did this big saw. I've got this area, the bench across from me, that I just been piling stuff on, and I thought, screw this. And so I just got it all cleaned up today. I still have a pile of stuff to sort through, but some of that's going to be going to storage, and so I got to sort that out. And then I have a pile of to-dos out of that, but I'm quite proud of myself. That area is all cleaned up and actually looks organized. So I'm like, yes. I got some of the crap off the couch as well that had been sitting there. And then we did, and then I put Zeffie on the long lead, had the door open. And so she's busy wandering around outside on her 15-foot leash out there while I loaded up all the recycling into the back of the car, and then got her into the car. And then we went over to the trash and got rid of all the recycling, came back, and it felt like, I mean, we didn't have, I wouldn't say it was that much recycling, but the place looked a lot better. And when you're in a small space, it seems to take up a lot of room. So getting all of that out of here was awesome. And the coolest part when we came back, now normally I take the leash to the car with me. Whenever we put the leash in the car, and then I leash her and bring her in straight inside. And I tried once before for her to get out of the car and go inside. And I just opened the door, unhooked her belt and said, inside. And she jumps down and starts wandering off. I go, no, back here. And she came and went inside. And so today I thought, I'm going to try it again and see what happens. And so I opened up the back door. I took her leash off. I stood back and said, inside. And she went off the back seat, out of the car, straight across, up the stairs, inside the thing. Like I'd parked the door. I somehow parked the car directly in front of the door for her. So she just had a straight line. And she turns around and she's sort of like all proud of herself, and she's standing there smiling, waiting for me to come in, and I'm praising her for being so good. And so then she sort of like sits very pretty, and I said, you're waiting for a treat now. And she just like wags her tail a little more. And so she got a treat for that because she did good. And then after that, it was researching. So we're doing some research for a client, and this one's proving to be a bit of a challenge, but it is really cool at the same time. And my challenge is that on different official documentation, we have different birth dates. Like all the other information that's on the official stuff matches up perfectly with this, for this person, matches up perfectly, but the birth dates are all out of whack. And I'm not talking, I'm talking like, let's see, what have we got here? There's like 3-year difference, there's month difference, and there's day difference. So it's not even the same day and the same month, but with a different year. No, we're talking different years, different months, and different days. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. So I'm trying to find the birth record of this person, which is going to be fun because it's in Ireland. So that will be fun. But it's been a challenge. And so as I'm digging and trying to find more information and stuff, I'm coming up with more when I'm digging in and looking for the birth records and maybe other records in places they have lived, I've come up with this whole other information that we didn't have before. And so we're starting to pad out the story of this person, finding records in completely different places that we didn't know about. Well, not that we didn't know about, we didn't know that they had records in those places. And so it's been kind of interesting, but still can't find the birth date. But like on official government documentation, we have different birthdays, days, months, and years on different documentation. I'm like, what? But what is interesting is the one where I have the month that is completely different and the year that it's, like 3 or 4 years difference. 2 to 3 years difference, where I have that was, it's, I can't find the official death records. I can find the indexes, which put the date, it puts the age, but the age is out of whack with everything else that I've found. But like I said, I've every other government documentation I have has them around the same month, within a year of each other, and there's a couple that have a different date. So most of them are the same month. The years, there's 1 year between them, and the day is different on one of them. The other ones are all matching up, but like all the other information, like their occupation, where they were born, all the other relevant information that helps you narrow down who this person is. So like where they were born, their occupation has stayed the same consistently through the thing, especially when you know when they were living in this area, this was their trade, and when they moved and immigrated, they started working for a particular company. And like you can follow all of that, and you can follow the place of birth has never changed. Place of birth is the same all across the board. Occupation, exactly as we need it to be. Everything else has been lining up. And then it was sort of like, yeah, these dates are completely out of whack. So it's interesting going back and trying to locate. So I'm actually looking for the birth records now, but we shall see. We might, yeah, that one's going to be the challenge. But it's interesting what other information you can find when you're researching, and especially stuff that the client hadn't told you, and it could be because they didn't know. And so when you send them a note saying, hey, did you realize that this person, blah, 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 and you send them the thing, and I haven't heard back from them yet. So it'd be interesting to see what they say. But I've got like full records of some areas of like the digital copies of the original documents that have all this information on. There's stuff where it has been written out by the person. And some sort of like, does he not? But what was interesting is that on his wife's death certificate, he had no idea what her birthday was. He's the one that provided the information. And he just gave, and when they asked, and on the death certificate, it has birth date unknown, and then for age about what he thought she was. But found a newspaper clipping about her death, and I thought, oh, who's this other person that they're mentioning in the article? And I happened to stumble across another record where she was mentioned on the record, and it was this person with the same last name. Got to research that part a little more, because it looks like that could have been a family member that was involved. And because the way it was written up, I'm sort of like, who's this person she was in the car with? Because that was not her husband. But it could actually be a nephew that she was in the car with. So I have since discovered, but that has to be researched a little more, because I just happened to stumble across her name on a census before she got married, where she was in this particular family, and it had that she was the sister, as far as relation to the head of the household. And I thought, sister or sister-in-law? Did they put sister-in-law on the census report in that year, or did they not? So, because in some years, instead of putting sister-in-law, they would put sister. And then you had to try and decipher, is it a sister? And they would do the same with brother-in-laws as well. They'll just put brother. And so some of the census reports I've come across has got brother, and I go, that person did not have a brother. But there's the wife, who would be the sister, and he would be the husband of the sister, because they got the same last names, and you know that they got married, and because you found the marriage certificate and all that sort of stuff. And you're sort of like, okay, it's interesting. They're putting there as brother, not brother-in-law, or bro-in-law, or sis-in-law, is some of the ones that you see. So sometimes, depending on who's doing the who the enumerator is, as to whether they put the in-law piece on there as well. So you got to watch for those sorts of things. But it has been a very interesting day, and I can't wait to get back into it. But I had to come on and do this, and I know I got on a little early. It's sort of like I'm in a good place to take a break. If I start again, I'm going to miss my deadline to come on and do my live. And I've got a DOG that wants to go for WALK. So we're at the perfect place. So in my research, I was at a good place to stop. My music stopped playing. It's actually quite fun. I have never played 80s pop music while researching genealogy. And it was really fun because I'm sitting here doing the research and just dancing in the seat. And every now and again, I'll get up and do a dance to the song that was on because I'll be at a place where I could break. It's like, okay, I need to figure out where to go next. So I'll get up, dance whatever song was on there, refill my water, have another drink, have a snack or lunch, and then sit back down and back into it again. But yeah, there was a lot of really good songs coming on there from the 80s. I'm an 80s girl. I like my songs from the 80s. And so it was really good. And then all of a sudden, Alexa pops up and goes, "Oh, we can also we can also notify you about any news events. Would you like to be notified?" I went, "No." And so she stopped playing music. And I was like, so but yeah, it's been a good afternoon doing the research, and oh my gosh, I've had such a blast. Been able to incorporate a lot of what I've been learning in all the different genealogy classes and that sort of thing as well. And so I'm looking forward to my genealogical principles class coming up on November 1st, which is going to be for 7 weeks. There's going to be a lot of study involved in that one, and I'm just like, yes, let's get in there, let's get it done. Maybe I can find, and if you have to have a project, I've got several. If we have research projects we have to do, I have several. I've got several places where I have questions written down and can work on those as projects for the class. So I don't even know if we need them or not, but if we do, I have several ready to go. But yeah, it's been a good day researching this one person, and still got a bit more research to do on them. But I really want to find their birth registration, and that's been the tough one. And but I did find that he had a sister. I found one sibling because she was mentioned on in the file where I found this big file. This big file was like 60 pages long, 60 images of this one file of everything that was in the jacket. And his sister was mentioned all throughout, had her married name there. But do you think I can find her marriage certificate, marriage registration? No. Like, really? So, but at least I have her places of where she lived, so I can go and look up those addresses for during that time. And even on the records, it had that she moved, that she was originally at this record, at this place in time. And then it even has later on, it has where they changed her address and they put the date that they changed the address. I'm like, yes, love this. So I can go and check for deeds, land records, that sort of stuff as well. So it's going to be fun. So I've been able to keep updating my research log as different places to go and check for things, because if I can find out more information about her and find her marriage records, then I can maybe find out when she was born. But I have a feeling that she might be an older sister. That's what I'm thinking, but I don't know. So lots of fun and games, lots of discoveries along the way that then raise other questions. So you just write the questions down. I'm so like, I am looking for this birth information. Give me the birth information. If I can verify the birth, that would be the best ever. But yeah, it could be that he really had no clue. I thought I was born around this time. It could be this year or that year. But why on his death records it has that he was born in a completely different year that's different to all the other records that we have, I don't know. But the other information all matches up, like the name, the death date and place, the address where he was when he passed, and all of that adds up to being this particular person. And it even had his previous occupation, where he used to work, and all of that, which adds up with everything else that we have. So when you're looking for information, and I've got this all in a spreadsheet, like I've got what is the name of the documentation, what information does it provide us, and I have highlighted like birth dates, birth places, death dates, death places, marriage dates and places, and everything is lining up as it should on those records with the other records that we have. It's just the birth thing that keeps changing. Although there has been a couple where they were very consistent. Like he mentioned that date on that one, and then he mentioned it on this one, the exact same date. But then there was one where he had the day and the month correct, and the year was one off. I'm like, okay, I can give him that one for a mistake. Depends on if the person was typing, because some of the documentation was typed and some of it was handwritten. So it's kind of interesting, and seeing his signature stay the same throughout, with very little alteration throughout the years on pages that he's had to sign has been interesting as well. So again, being able to verify the information. Is this the right person? The occupation matches up, the birthplace matches up, the year doesn't. Birth dates are all different, but all the other information matches up with other information that we found. So it's all on a spreadsheet. So I can go through and have a look and see where the differences are. And then we can, and like even the ones that have physical description, like how tall is he? And what type of complexion does he have? His eye color, his hair. Now his hair color did change, because on one it had it when he was younger, and then when he got older, it all went gray. So we went from brown to gray, which is perfectly acceptable because of age. But eye color is the same. Height, they've had him within an inch. Some say 5'5", some say 5'6", some say 5'5". It's all pretty much the same. Yeah, we're pretty much there. But complexion, fair. Yep. So there's a lot of stuff that's adding up and showing the match. Just wish I could find his birth record. That would make my day. So I'm off to take the DOG for WALK, and then when I get back, I might do another round of researching the birth year and see what I can find. Oh, I just thought of a place to go. I haven't used that one yet, so I'm going to go check that one and put that on my research log as well. Don't forget, when you're researching, keep a log so you don't have to go back and double check, research things again, thinking that, I haven't been there, when you actually have. So it helps save you a lot of time, and it means, what was that record on that had this? And you can go back and have a look at it and see. So if you keep your research log, it's great for if you want to go back and have a look at something, and it's good to know where you have been with your research, so that you can not double up on researching the same thing over and over and over and over again. Ask me how I know. Anyway, with that, have a super fantastic sparkling rest of your evening, and we will catch you guys back here. Oh, hang on, better check the calendar. Yep, 6 p.m. tomorrow evening. So we will see you guys. Oh, where'd you go? You all disappeared on me. Oh, there it is. How did that get there? The tab's in the wrong place. I couldn't find it. Anyway, have a super fantastic sparkling evening. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Hei konera.